Plus. Just want to show you this live look over a scene in Douglas County where there is a shooting investigation underway. We are right now working with Douglas County authorities and of course, the Georgia. We have calls out to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and other agencies as well. We're trying to get more information, but what we can tell you right now is that there is this active scene, which you are able to see, courtesy of our helicopter, giving you this aerial view, and if you were able to see some of that activity. You see the yellow tape, the investigation tape, that perimeter that has been set up. But there was some sort of incident off of Kings Highway, is what we've been told by the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. They are also saying that the situation is under control. There's no current threat to the community or the nearby school at this particular time. But as you can see, a lot of activity being captured by our helicopter, just giving you this aerial view, and you see what appears to be several investigators on the scene, which would be typical, looking for whatever evidence they might be able to find. I want to show you this post on social media as well, and this is from the DOT, where it basically is just warning that all lanes had been blocked off on SR 5 South at I-20, and that was due to the police activity. So you were just being advised to avoid travel in that direction, use alternate routes as well. Let's just look back out live for a moment. Apologize that it's a little bit of a shaky video because this is obviously being taken from a flying news helicopter, so clearly a lot of turbulence out there. But we're just kind of looking at, obviously it's movement. This is, a little bit raw. We're sharing this with you, but we're sharing it as it happens. The helicopter pilot and camera operator working together to try to get you some images, but it can be a challenge at some times, as you can see. But one thing that we have seen on Facebook as well is that it appears that there was a lockdown at Alexander High School, which has now been lifted, but something else that was impacted in the community as well. As for Grady Hospital, they've stated that there are no road closures, there's no increase in security at this time, but we're working to find out more information with them as well about potentially any victims. But the traffic impacts here, just kind of, to be aware of that. The lanes blocked off at SR 5 South at I-20 due to the police activity. So you're urged to avoid travel in that direction and use alternate routes as well. But again, working to gather more information. I'm looking live again at the news helicopter, just kind of going around the neighborhood, around the scene that we had shown you. I also want to let you know that we have seen a lot of activity at Grady Hospital. I'm working to call that up because we do have, here's the shot from Grady, where we have seen a lot of activity, and we are preparing for what could be a press conference a short time from now, hoping to learn more information. But we did observe our news crews on the ground at Grady Memorial Hospital, just that there was a lot of activity, police activity, unusual activity. So that's something that we've been keeping our eyes on as well, hoping to learn a little bit more information. And now, within just the last few moments, we have learned that the Georgia Bureau of Investigations has confirmed an officer-involved shooting. We are still working to gather more information, but again, within the last few moments, we've just learned that the Georgia Bureau of Investigations has confirmed an officer-involved shooting. We're, like I say, we've got crews on the ground, in the air as well, working to gather more information about how this happened, who the victim or victims may be, who might be responsible, and who's investigating. Of course, these are all the questions. But within just the last few moments, we were able to confirm. Our Atlanta News First team was able to confirm that the Georgia Bureau of Investigations is confirming an officer-involved shooting of some sort that happened in Douglas County. So what you're looking at right now, live images from outside Grady Memorial Hospital, and we have seen a lot of police activity. I'm not sure the significance of the particular vehicle that we're looking at right now, to be honest with you, but we're watching for anything that might have some leads. Looks like a gentleman with a Douglas County sweatshirt exiting that black Suburban that you just saw. And I apologize. This can be some rough camera work at times because we're showing this to you raw. This is not edited. This is all live. We have our crews obviously on the ground and in the air, just working to gather the latest information for you, and we are showing it to you even as they're very raw in the moment, just kind of trying to take what shots they can get. You see this gentleman in the Douglas County Sheriff's Office attire there at the hospital, and you see all those ambulances. And we've just learned that Sheriff Pounds of Douglas County has showed up at Grady Memorial Hospital as well. And as you're looking at these live images, you see these ambulances lined up outside the emergency room, and we saw, we're positioned just near the entrance there. We saw the gentleman with the attire from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office there walking into the hospital. And we have learned from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations that there is an officer-involved shooting, and it happened in Douglas County. Working to get more information. But as we're watching this in the moment to moment, still a lot of unanswered questions. And we're learning along with you in some senses. Of course, we've got a whole news team with calls out to numerous different agencies, staying in close touch with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and any other agencies that could have an impact. Like I told you earlier, if you're just joining us, we have learned that for a period of time, Alexander High School was locked down as well. That has now been lifted. But that was another impact of all of this. And also, if you haven't done so, we just sent out an alert from our Atlanta News First app. I would encourage you to go ahead and download that if you have not done so yet, because that's when you can get updates sent right to your phone as we continue just learning more information about this case. But what we know so far, if you're just joining us, Georgia Bureau of Investigation is saying that there was a shooting involving a law enforcement in Douglas County this morning. It reportedly happened off of Kings Highway. And, as we've been showing you in these live images, outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, our news crews have seen, and you have seen live with us, some cruisers. We've actually, some of our crews, before we got up with these live images for you, some of our crews actually witnessed cruisers being escorted by the Georgia State Patrol. Douglas County Sheriff Tim Pounds saying on social media that the situation is under control, that there's no current threat to the community or nearby school. And as I mentioned to you, at one point nearby Alexander High School was on lockdown. That lockdown has since been lifted, according to school officials. Still a lot of unanswered questions here. The exact circumstances surrounding the incident have not yet been released. We are working to gather that information. You know, clearly, as you can see, we have this camera positioned right outside of the hospital and a crew positioned outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, where we have are in place, in position for a possible press conference with what we hope will be some updates on this. And I showed you that we had a news helicopter flying over the scene in Douglas County as well. And when we last showed you those images from our Atlanta News First helicopter, you know, you could see that it was an active scene. And, you know, there was this post on social media from the DOT that all lanes had been blocked on SR 5 South at I-20 due to the police activity, and people were being urged to avoid travel in that direction and use alternate routes as well. You know, even if it has opened once again, I mean, the general rule in situations like this is, you know, you want to give space to investigators to do their work and not add additional pressure or distractions to them as they're trying to get to the bottom of what happened and look into the scene, comb scenes for any, in general, for any evidence as to what may have happened. And piece together any clues. So certainly you'd want to give them their space regardless. But we're just kind of keeping our eyes here on Grady Memorial Hospital, hoping to get an update at any moment now. Because as I mentioned, Georgia State Patrol troopers and Douglas County Sheriff's Office deputies were seen rushing to Grady Hospital. And again, Georgia Bureau of Investigation just saying that they are investigating a shooting involving law enforcement that happened in Douglas County just this morning. Reportedly happened off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. So those are areas that, you know, I don't want to attract gawkers by pointing this out, because that's the last thing that investigators would want. They're trying to do their work and find answers about what happened. Let me show you now the images on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. Encourage you to check that out or download our free app where you can see more. I just want to show you, this is some video captured by our crews on the ground. And you can see, you know, this is what I've been describing to you. Go on our website. You can watch this. Certainly this is not typical. You see all these vehicles from Georgia State Patrol and Georgia Bureau of Investigations over there rushing to the hospital. And that in itself was very telling that something had happened. And we have now confirmed with Georgia Bureau of Investigations, it is an officer-involved shooting, or shall I say more appropriately, a shooting involving law enforcement of some sort. So we're just keep staying on this, waiting for updates from authorities. All right, so I've been showing you this live image at Grady Memorial Hospital. Let me show you from a different perspective because we have another crew on another side of Grady Memorial Hospital because there is so much activity here. And we have heard word of a potential news conference happening, so we're just kind of standing by watching what's happening moment to moment so we can bring that to you live if and when that happens, and we can share more information with you. You can see on the left side of your screen news crews gathered, also standing by waiting to learn more information if there is more information available. But the investigation is still ongoing. The again, Georgia Bureau of Investigation saying that they are looking into what happened, but it is some shooting involving law enforcement that happened in Douglas County this morning. Reportedly happened off of Kings Highway. So just looking at these live images here, you see one of the police cruisers just moving away from that area, and you see another Douglas County cruiser just outside of Grady Memorial Hospital right now. And let me show you this video captured earlier. It's posted on AtlantaNewsFirst.com, where you see several of these law enforcement vehicles rushing to Grady Memorial Hospital. You see both Douglas County and Georgia Bureau of Investigation vehicles rushing over to Grady Memorial Hospital. That's something that we have up on AtlantaNewsFirst.com, and would encourage you to go to our website. But also, if you haven't yet done so, go ahead and download our app because that's where you can get details sent right to your phone. But, that was, as you saw, cruisers escorted by Georgia State Patrol. So, a lot of activity, unusual amount of activity there outside of Grady Memorial Hospital. So here's one location where we have a crew standing by outside of Grady. And here's a second location where we have another crew standing by outside of Grady Memorial Hospital. So we can provide you live team coverage and obviously have multiple angles covered, not just in the journalistic context, but literally in the physical context. We got two different angles at Grady Memorial Hospital standing by to get you any information as we learn more. But some sort of shooting involving law enforcement in Douglas County on Wednesday morning apparently happened off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. At one point, we have learned that Alexander High School was on lockdown as a result of whatever happened. That lockdown has been lifted, so that's got to be a relief for parents and teachers and students. And you know, we're just standing by here, waiting for any potential updates from authorities. If there's a press conference. All right. So if you're just joining us, I just want you to know we are watching live these images outside of Grady Memorial Hospital. Here is one of the locations where our crew is set up. On the left-hand side of your screen, you can see other news organizations set up with their cameras as well, with microphones. And, you know, there's anticipation of a press conference happening, hopefully in the near future, where we can gather more information about what we have learned to be an officer-involved shooting that happened in Douglas County. That's being confirmed by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations that there is a law enforcement involved shooting, that there was a law enforcement involved shooting in Douglas County. And on the right side of your screen, you can see a Douglas County vehicle as well. And I want to show you, we have another location, live location set up outside of Grady Memorial Hospital. We have live team coverage, 2 different crews standing by, awaiting any updates that we can share with you. But again, Georgia Bureau of Investigation just confirming that there was some sort of shooting involving law enforcement that happened really just within the last few hours in Douglas County. We do know that the nearby school near the scene had actually been on lockdown. Bill Arp Elementary School had a lockdown that has now been lifted. In addition to that, Alexander High School had been on lockdown, and that has been lifted as well. I want to encourage you to check out our story on atlantanewsfirst.com. And like I said, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and download our app so you can get updates sent right to your phone. But this incident reportedly happened off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. Sheriff Tim Pounds of Douglas County saying the situation is under control. There's no current threat to the community or nearby school, but we are working to get more information. And I just want to share with you some new information into our newsroom as well. A short time ago, that obviously I've been sharing with you that this is an officer-involved shooting. Well, we've now learned through a source that in fact it's a deputy that has been shot. Again, this is from a source that a deputy has been shot, and a suspect has been shot. In addition to that, 2 civilians were injured in the crossfire here. We are again just positioned here to get an official update through authorities, because this is information coming from a source to our Atlanta News First newsroom that a deputy has been shot and a suspect has been shot and 2 civilians were injured in the crossfire. And again, it happened earlier this morning off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. And we are positioned outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, as our crews on the ground had seen cruisers escorted by the Georgia State Patrol, and Douglas County Sheriff Tim Pounds was seen arriving at the hospital as well. Sheriff Pounds saying on social media the situation is under control. There's no threat to the community or nearby school at this time. And as I mentioned to you, area schools had been on lockdown. That includes Alexander High School and Bill Arp Elementary, that were both on lockdown. The lockdowns at those schools have since been lifted. And again, the sheriff saying there's no threat to the community or the nearby school at this time. But the major update that we learned just a short time ago is that a deputy has been shot, and I have to be clear, this is through a source. This is not coming directly from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations or a law enforcement body, but this is coming from a source in Douglas County, telling us that a deputy has been shot, the suspect has been shot as well, and 2 civilians had been injured in the crossfire. We're standing by with these live images from Grady Memorial Hospital, hoping to get an update with more information at any moment now, as you see that Douglas County cruiser on the right side of your screen. And as I had shared with you, Douglas County Sheriff Tim Pounds had been spotted at Grady Memorial Hospital as well. So we are hoping to learn more information at any moment from authorities. I'm showing you that we have another image outside of Grady, another camera position, because we have multiple crews for our live team coverage. We're going to continue following this on Atlanta News First Plus, and remember, our traditional broadcast starts at noon as well on our traditional television platforms. I'm Joy Lim-Nacker, and I've been just joining you here. My colleague Maria Moreau is jumping into the conversation and following this as well. And Maria, obviously it's such an evolving situation, so we're just kind of taking it moment by moment and sharing updates as we get them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joy. Again, following details as they come into the newsroom, as Joy said, we are live with this with you. So anything that we're learning, we're bringing to you right here on Atlanta News First Plus as we continue to follow the latest developments that come out of this. Now, for those of you that are just joining us, I just want to explain what you're looking at right now. This is outside of Grady Memorial Hospital. This is as close as we can get you to the hospital, obviously, but we are following reports of a deputy that has been shot out of Douglas County while responding to an investigation. Again, a suspect and two civilians were also caught in the crossfire. That is directly from sources. Now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation said they are investigating that shooting that took place in Douglas County that reportedly, we're being told, happened off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. I'm going to pull up a map just to show you where that is a little specifically, but I'll leave this shot up of Grady Hospital while I'm doing that. Again, we're following developments into our newsroom as they come. This right now outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, where our Atlanta News First team is, we are seeing a lot of police presence, a lot of Douglas County police. There's one of the police vehicles, as you can see. Naturally, what is going to take place when one of their own is injured like this, you're going to have a lot of backup and a lot of support there. Law enforcement, they are like family, and when one of them gets injured, it's definitely a serious time for so many of them. And amidst an ongoing investigation, again, that shooting taking place off Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway, we're being told that a deputy was shot along with a suspect and two civilians that ended up being caught in the crossfire. All right, coming to you live here from the First Solar Desk on Atlanta News First Plus. You're taking a look right now outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, where we have learned that a Douglas County deputy was shot. We also know that a suspect, along with two civilians, were caught in the crossfire of that shooting. I want to take you out to this right here. Pretty much an empty parking lot, but this is out in Douglas County. This is a media staging area where we hope to hear from Douglas County officials, the GBI who is investigating this, with any new details and information that they might possibly have. Again, this is a very active investigation, really taking place moments ago, and now this is where we are. A deputy is now in the hospital, two civilians, the suspect as well. In the midst of this, GBI being called to investigate, which is often standard protocol when you talk about a shooting involving an officer, a shooting involving a deputy in this case. Here's that map I was mentioning earlier, just to give you a better idea of where this took place. Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. I'm going to switch to a satellite view here so you can see it's mostly a residential area. You have a gas station there, but not that busy of a road, but this was the scene of a shooting. That shooting happening earlier this morning, and I'm going to zoom out here just so you can see relatively where that is in relation to downtown and midtown Atlanta. Again, this is Douglas County, so for those of you that are familiar with this area, you might recognize it, but not too far off from Atlanta. As I back up here, ooh, too far. But that intersection serving now as a crime scene, involving the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, involving Douglas County Sheriff's Office, one of their deputies being injured, and there's that intersection right there. You have a gas station nearby, mostly residential space, not too busy of an interstate, but as I mentioned, excuse me, not interstate, intersection, I meant to say. But as I mentioned, this is the scene of an active investigation. So if you are someone who drives through this roadway, you want to avoid it as best as possible. Let authorities do what they need to do right now and conduct their investigation. If this is a gas station that you frequent, that's a food mart nearby, convenience store, it's just best to avoid it as best as possible at this time while this investigation very much underway. Taking you back out to Douglas County, again, the media staging area, we are hoping to hear from officials on the latest happenings here out of this specific scene. Now, again, as I mentioned, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is right now investigating. Douglas County Sheriff's is investigating. Their own deputy shot, taken to the hospital, Grady Memorial Hospital specifically, and a suspect along with 2 civilians being caught in the crossfire. We don't know at this time what their conditions are. We have been told by sources that they were caught in the crossfire. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation not giving us a whole lot of information, but sharing need-to-know details at this time, and what we're hoping for out of this as you can see, staging areas, that we will hear from an official, whether it be from Douglas County Sheriff's Office, giving remarks on one of their own, or the GBI giving us an update on the investigation, where it's at. We really want to know the conditions of everyone involved and what prompted this shooting. It is not every day that you hear that a Douglas County deputy is injured and shot. So any and all information always helpful in this case. And of course, we're keeping you updated on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and the Atlanta News First app. If this is something that you want to stay up to date with, but you got a busy day, I understand it's the middle of the work week, download the Atlanta News First app. You'll have access to breaking news and developing stories just like this, and we'll send you push alerts directly to your phone for major updates in the cases. All right, so as we continue to take a look outside of Grady Hospital, this is the scene where a Douglas County deputy was rushed here for injuries from a shooting involving that deputy. We were told a suspect and 2 civilians were caught in the crossfire. Their injuries are unknown. Again, that information coming from sources to Atlanta News First, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation conducting that investigation, taking over, considering that this was a shooting involving a deputy law enforcement officer. That's pretty standard protocol for GBI to get involved. Now, as you're taking a look at Grady Memorial Hospital, where our Atlanta News First team is, we are also tuning into remarks from officials as this investigation gets underway. Let's listen in.
I can see like damn well. No, I'm in Douglasville with the police shoot the cop shot. Well, you're gonna have to get it later because they're about to do the press conference now. I don't know what to tell you. It's up, but.
All right, and we are taking a look on your left-hand side. We're about to hear from officials. On your right-hand side, a look at Grady Memorial Hospital and some of the law enforcement officials that have come together in support of their deputy, just making sure that everyone is okay. Again, on your left-hand side, this is out in Douglas County. We are moments away from taking you live to a news conference, hopefully some updates. Let's listen in.
Yeah, I'm just going to record. Go for it. Can you see me? Can you see it? It says live right here.
I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, I do believe they are doing some audio checks right now. Momentarily, we can expect them to begin speaking. I think our crews, some other media crews that are there, just want to make sure audio is set up. And it sounds like we'll be hearing that update here shortly. I'm going to bring back that double box here so you can see Grady Memorial Hospital on your right-hand side, as well as the news conference on your left-hand side. Again, still getting ready. We should be hearing from these officials, investigators, moments from now.
I see it. I see the picture. Just roll as soon as you see the picture. No, I can see the picture now. It says live.
My name's John Mooney, captain over the Criminal Investigations Division here at the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. At 9:30 this morning, a sheriff's office was dispatched to 5926 North Bear Drive in reference to a person who had been shot. When deputies arrived at the residence, they encountered the gentleman who had been shot. He indicated that the person who shot him was inside the residence with other individuals. Our deputies made entry into the house to try to take this gentleman into custody. When they entered into the residence, they received gunfire, striking one of our deputies. They returned fire, striking the individual who had opened fire on the deputies, shooting the individual in the front yard and our officer. EMS responded to the scene. They transported our officer and another individual that was shot inside the house to Grady Memorial Hospital. The suspect, or the initial person who was shot, was deceased in the front yard of the residence. Right now, Sheriff Pounds is at Grady Memorial Hospital with our officer, checking on him and with his family. And we have contacted the GBI to come in and work the investigation. I don't have any condition right now on how they are. Our officers being checked at Grady, and the individual that shot our officer, he was life flighted from this parking lot here to Grady Memorial Hospital. I don't have a condition or how he is right now.
And to clarify, is it 3 people at play or is there 2 civilians?
There was a female that was shot. We don't know who shot her or how that happened at the house. Our deputy shot, and then the individual that's deceased, and then the suspect.
Anything else you can give regarding the relationship between the people, those civilians shot?
No, ma'am, not at this time. Okay.
The actual deceased suspect, you said male, anything else you can give?
We're not going to release anything else at this time. We've called the GBI in, and we're going to let them make further comment after this. That it? All right, thank you.
All right, you just heard from Douglas County Sheriff's Office some updates into this developing investigation, this active story that we're following. I just want to read off some of the notes. Here's the sequence of events as it was laid out. Person was shot. That is what prompted law enforcement to respond, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office to respond to that residence. Now, they were told there was an individual inside the residence with other individuals as they made entry. This is according to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, saying as the deputies made entry, they were shot at, and that at that point one of the deputies was injured, according to Douglas County Sheriff's Office. Now, the Sheriff's Office goes on to say that that is when The deputies returned fire, shooting the suspect in question. They did say that that suspect was taken to Grady Memorial Hospital via airlift, and the deputy was also rushed to the hospital. So we do know at this time, taking a look at Grady Memorial Hospital, at least 2 people from this scene, from this investigation, are in the hospital, and that is believed to be at this time, per the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, to be the deputy that was shot at, according to them, and the suspect in question. They did say that that initial person who was shot, that they responded to that person shot call, was in front of the home and unfortunately deceased. So we do know at this time there is a deputy that was reportedly shot at, a suspect that was shot at through deputies returning fire, one other person that died in the initial shooting that prompted the call, and we do know from what we just heard from officials that one other person who was only described as a female was also shot. They limited information surrounding that, but that adding up to our initial sources and what we reported as the deputy suspect and 2 civilians being injured in this shooting. Again, we are continuing to follow developing details. This happening earlier this morning off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. Right now, you're taking a look outside of Grady Memorial Hospital, where we believe the Douglas County deputy that was injured, as we were told by the sheriff's office, is receiving treatment, as well as the suspect, who was also transported to Grady Hospital. We do know at least one person is dead, according to the sheriff's office, and another individual, the only description for this being a female, was shot. The details surrounding that remain limited at this time. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation looking into this incident, which is standard procedure typically when you're talking about a shooting involving a law enforcement officer, a deputy in this case. So the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is going to be conducting and leading this investigation. The sheriff's office saying they're not really going to remark on this much further. But we, of course, will monitor the latest to come out of this on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. Just another update for you into our newsroom. A couple schools in the area were placed on lockdown out of precaution. We can report that Yeager Middle School is no longer on lockdown. Bill Arp Elementary School also no longer on lockdown. This investigation still very much underway. We do know that there are at least 2 people tied to this scene at the hospital, the deputy in question and the suspect. The deputy that was shot at and injured, and the suspect in question, according to the sheriff's office. We know one other person has been pronounced deceased by responding medical staff, and one other individual, the 4th, a female, was shot. This coming directly from the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, not releasing a whole lot of details, but we do know that they are leading this investigation at this point. The sheriff actually taking to social media earlier, saying that the situation is under control. There is no current threat to the community. I imagine a lot of parents were feeling on alert. I mean, hearing that their child's school was placed on lockdown definitely is enough to alarm a lot of parents. Thankfully, those schools, their lockdown has been lifted since. Again, most of those lockdowns typically happening out of precaution for safety. We did hear from the sheriff's office saying that there is no current threat to the community or the nearby school. Alexander High School, Bill Arp Elementary, and Yeager Middle School lifting their lockdowns. Again, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation continuing to conduct their investigation looking into this matter. We just heard from the sheriff's office. We'll have those full remarks for you on AtlantaNewsFirst.com. As we take you into our noon hour, we are going to continue to follow the developments that come out of this. For those that are just joining, I just want to run through everything a final time with you. We did learn earlier this morning a deputy was shot while responding to a person shot call in Douglas County, specifically off of Dorset Shoals Road and Kings Highway. That specific address is along North Bear Drive, so at a residence in Douglas County. I showed you a map earlier, a pretty residential area, not a busy intersection. There's a convenience store, a gas station nearby, but mostly homes in that area, as well as a couple schools that went under a lockdown out of precaution. Those lockdowns have since been lifted. The sheriff's office saying that there is no active threat to the community. That the latest to come out of the sheriff's office detailing what led up, and we are looking right now at Patrick Quinn. As I did mention, we are heading into our news at noon, where we'll bring you those live reports from our reporters that are out in the community. We have our Rachel Aragon that is in Douglas County, Patrick Quinn that is in front of Grady Memorial Hospital, where we have been told the deputy who was shot and injured has been taken to that hospital, as well as a suspect in question. We also know that one other person was pronounced deceased. That person was in front of the residence that the sheriff's office deputies responded to. We also have been told that one other person, a female, was shot. Details surrounding that remain extremely limited at this time. We're going to continue to keep you updated, monitor the situation here on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. I'm going to take you one final time out to our website right here. This is just a simple Google search, but atlantanewsfirst.com. It is the top story right now on our website, so you should be able to find it right away and follow our coverage both on air and online here at atlantanewsfirst.com and the free Atlanta News First app. Again, any major developments that come out of this will go directly to your phone, and you can read all of the information that comes into our newsroom right here on our website. Again, download that app. We'll send a push alert to your phone. You won't miss a thing. We are going to continue to monitor the status of that deputy, his condition, as well as the suspect in question and all of the others that were involved. Again, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation looking into this matter, and the sheriff's office saying that they're handing this off as standard protocol, but they will continue to monitor, especially looking after the condition of their deputy. Thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk on Atlanta News First Plus. Again, when we cut in with these types of breaking news, it's often very in the moment. We're following details as they develop. We took you out to that news conference, details that were coming in from all sides, the GBI, the sheriff's office, surrounding neighborhoods, our hardworking Atlanta News First reporters out in the field, talking to people, covering these stories. We're going to bring all of that information to you on our Atlanta News First newscast at noon. That is in about 2 minutes, and you'll hear that live report at the top of the hour, so make sure you tune in. Have your phone, Atlanta News First app downloaded. You can watch the newscast if you want that full report. You can also go to our website or access it through the app to read more on the details that are developing and what we're following. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.